What's going on, everybody? Alex here with TFLoffroad, and welcome back to our gear-related video series, TFL Reviews. This video is all about budget air compressors. Both of these air compressors are under $70. Over here we have the Pittsburgh or Harbor Freight brand air compressor, which is $64.99. Then we have the Amazon Basics air compressor, which is $69.99. So they're very similarly priced. So in this video, I'm gonna race the two, figure out which one will fill up the tires on this Discovery faster. I'll also run a couple of other tests, figure out how hot they get, figure out how loud they are, figure out how easy they are to use. And at the end of this video, I'll compare it to the Arb compressor we have on board in the Discovery, which should blow the two of these out of the water. These are both brand new compressors. They haven't even been taken out of the box yet, so it should be a pretty fair race. But before we get there, I want to show you what you get in the box with both of these units. So first, let's start with the Harbor Freight or Pittsburgh portable air compressor. This is a 12 volt, 150 PSI air compressor. And according to Harbor Freight, it will do 1.35 CFM or cubic feet per minute. So it looks like everything is wrapped up in this soft carrying case right here. So we've got these two buckles and then kind of just pulls open. And let's see what we've got. So right here, this looks like the actual compressor unit. So you've got a little dedicated pocket for it. There we go. So we've got our power cables attached already. We have this short breakout for the air hose, which is permanently fixed to the unit. Nice little grab handle on top right there. Power switch on the back. So got that. So there's another little pocket right here. And nice big yellow air hose with a pressure gauge already installed on the end of it. So that's pretty neat. Looks like we've got just some general instructions, and attached to the hose a little Velcro pouch with some other things. So in here, looks like we've got a needle for inflating basketballs or soccer balls, any kind of thing like that. We've got two wider nozzles. This would be for inflating something like a pool toy or an air bed. So you've got those included in the box, and then you also have a spare fuse. So in case anything goes wrong, they give you one extra. Now for the Amazon Basics air compressor. So yes, this is Amazon brand. So inside the box, right on top, we've got some instructions and then some warnings and all your documentation. And then again, we've got a little soft carrying case here. Keep everything organized. Of course, you've got the Amazon logo printed on the front of that. And let's see what we get inside of the Amazon package. So right here, we've got a handle on the top of the compressor, just like the Harbor Freight. And then we've got battery clamps, looks like inline fuse right here, easy to access. Here's the actual compressor unit. Our hose, again, is permanently attached. So you would attach the longer hose to here. This little breakout is fixed permanently to the back of the unit. We have a digital gauge on the top of the Amazon Basics compressor, whereas the Harbor Freight has an analog gauge. And then it also looks like we have a little flashlight right here. So again, pretty basic design. But let's see what else we get in the box with the Amazon unit, see if there's anything different. So again, we get a coiled hose right here. Again, this one's not gonna have a pressure gauge on the actual hose because the gauge is on the compressor itself. And a couple other accessories. We have a needle, again, for inflating sports balls or anything similar to that. We have one bigger nozzle, again, for inflatable beds, things of that nature. And we have a fuse. So the only difference between what you get in the box between the Amazon unit and the Pittsburgh is you get one extra air nozzle with the Pittsburgh that you don't get in the Amazon box. But enough with the unboxing. Let's get to the test and see how both of these air compressors perform. Both of those compressors run off of the vehicle's battery, so I'm going to test them separately so that they're not fighting with each other, and that way I can also do both tests on the same tire. We're going to use the front right, but first I have to air it down. I'm going to go down to about 15 psi, so I've got these tire deflators from Boulder Tools, and I'm just going to screw it onto the valve stem and let some air out till we get down to 15, and then we can start our test. All right, we're nice and aired down on the tire. Let's check our pressure really quick. And exactly 15 psi, so we're good to go. Let's go hook up the compressor. First, we're gonna start with the Pittsburgh, or the Harbor Freight brand. So first things first, I gotta connect these battery terminals up. There's a couple things I'm going to be testing for, so I have the stopwatch on my phone to measure how long it takes to get from 15 psi all the way up to 45. While the compressor is running, I'm going to check it with the sound meter, see exactly how much noise it's making, and then once we get up to 45 psi, I'll hit it with the temperature probe and see exactly how hot this unit got. So first things first, I'm going to connect our coiled hose. I'll turn the unit on. We've got air. And I'm gonna connect it, and as soon as I connect it, I'll hit start on my phone. I'm about a foot away from the compressor. About 91 decibels, a little bit over. Boom. All right, we're at 45 psi. My phone says 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Now we've got the temperature probe, so about a foot away. About 88.7. So it didn't get quite as hot as I thought it would. Now let's use the Boulder Tools air pressure gauge and just check the accuracy of the Harbor Freight gauge. So there we go, just over 45 psi, not too bad. I think the gauge on the Harbor Freight tool works pretty well. Not too bad of a result for the Pittsburgh, but let's swap it out for the Amazon Basics air compressor, see exactly what kind of difference it makes. Once again, all aired down on the Duratrax. Check our pressure. And again, right at 15 psi. So let's hook up the Amazon Basics air compressor. Same deal with the Amazon compressor. We have these little battery clamps that just need to be connected. Same procedure, I'll connect the hose. I'll get my stopwatch out. As soon as I connect the hose, I will start the stopwatch. Once it's running, again, I'll do a sound check, and at the end, I will test the temperature. So let's get going. I'm gonna flip the unit on. And as soon as I connect it, I will hit start on the timer. It's probably hard to see because of the camera's frame rate, but the Amazon Basics unit has a digital gauge as opposed to the analog gauge on the Harbor Freight tool. We'll see exactly how accurate this is. About 82, 83 decibels on the sound meter for the Amazon unit. There we go, 45 psi, and that took 6 minutes and 34 seconds, so almost a full minute slower than the Harbor Freight. Let's check the temperature. 105.6 degrees, so slower and much hotter than the Harbor Freight. Last test for the Amazon. Let's disconnect and check the accuracy of that digital gauge. and it's just under 45, about 44 PSI. I've figured out that the Harbor Freight compressor is definitely faster than the Amazon Basics compressor, but what about ease of use? The first thing that comes to mind is weight. The Harbor Freight compressor is definitely a little bit heavier than the Amazon Basics unit, but it's not a crazy difference. And I don't care about that too much because for the most part, these are going to be sitting in the back of a truck. What's much more important is the length of the power cables and the length of the hose. So I'm going to set these compressors down in the same spot. I'll run out the power cables, see which one is longer, and then I'll do the same thing with the air hoses. All right, here we go. These are the battery connections for the Amazon Basics compressor. Here's the Harbor Freight. Let's walk it out. And it's really close. You have maybe like 3 extra inches on the Harbor Freight unit, but the power cables really are almost the same length. How about the air hoses? So again, in my right hand, this red hose is the Amazon Basics, yellow hose is the Harbor Freight. And you probably get another 2 feet of stretch out of the Harbor Freight, and that is where the weight of the units come in. Because the Harbor Freight is a little bit heavier, it stays planted on the ground, you can really tug on this hose. The Amazon Basics compressor starts to drag along the dirt if you stretch this out too much. Now in the back, we have this Arb compressor, and this is a really high-end unit. It's over $500. It's got 2 motors. So I'm gonna connect the hose just like that. Pull it out to the same tire. The ignition has to be on. And then right down here by my knee, I have a little switch for the compressor. Can hear it running a little bit in the back. And as soon as this airs back down to 15 PSI, we'll give it a go with the Arb compressor right here and see exactly how much faster a real air compressor is than those budget units from Harbor Freight and Amazon. "15 PSI. This hose doesn't have an integrated pressure gauge, so I've got the one I've been using throughout this video right here. I'll have to pull the hose off every once in a while and check the pressure, but either way, I still think it's gonna be much faster than those other 2 compressors, and if I need to, I'll shave 10-20 seconds off of the final time to account for reading time. So here we go. All right, it's been 60 seconds. Let's get a pressure reading. 30 PSI right now, so we've still got a little bit to go. And that took me exactly 10 seconds to check the pressure. 30 more seconds have passed. We're just under 40, so we'll keep going. That one took me 8 seconds, so we have 18 seconds to subtract so far. We're at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Let's give it one more check. And we are at 46 PSI. It's probably pretty hard to see. The sun's shining pretty bright, but I stopped it at 2 minutes, 37 seconds. I really took the hose off at 2:30. Subtract 18 seconds for the time I had to use the gauge to check the pressure. And it took the Arb compressor 2 minutes and 12 seconds to get from 15 PSI to just over 45. So much faster than those other 2 budget units. So what did we learn? Well, the Pittsburgh is definitely much faster, about a minute faster than the Amazon Basics unit to fill up this one tire, which means if you're running around to all 4 corners of your rig, the Pittsburgh is definitely gonna save you a lot of time. Yes, it's heavier, it's louder, but speed's the name of the game for air compressors when you're filling up tires, and the Pittsburgh just works better than the Amazon Basics unit. The one thing I like about the Amazon Basics is it has a little flashlight on the front, which means if you're filling up at night, you're gonna have a little bit of an easier time. If it were me, I'd go with the Pittsburgh. I want it to be fast, so that would be my choice right there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to go back to TFLoffroad.com for more news, views, and real-world gear reviews.